Hello. In this topic, we're going to see how to use BODS to bring data into SAP HANA from a data source like SAP ERP. We've already demonstrated how to access here, so I'm going to go and open the Data Services Designer, and we have to authenticate. Okay. I want to use this repository called BODS underscore OCT, and there is an additional authentication for the repository. There can be different repositories on an SAP Data Services Application Designer. Alright, so this is the entry point, and there are three distinct areas. One is the project area, one is the local object area, and then one is the working area. Currently, you see a quick launch and with the most used functionalities. So, step number one, let's go ahead and create a data source to talk to the source system. So, you can use this feature here to create that. I'm going to name it live underscore SAP, and the data store type is an SAP application. So let's go there. And the name of the database server, in other words, the name of the application server, you can find it in the SAP logon. You can right click on the system and you can say properties, and this is your application address. So simply copy paste it here, and you need to give your username, and you need to go to advanced and make sure you have the right system number. Our system is 07. Okay, so you can say apply, and you can say if your connection is working. Looks like you have an issue. Looks like the RFC logon failed and the password is incorrect, so let's correct it. Let's try again. Apply. So this time we don't have any prompt. That means this is a successful connection. Let's say OK. And now let's create a data source to talk to the target. So we're going to create a data source to talk to HANA. And we're going to name this live underscore HANA. And this is a database. So I'm going to leave it at database. And the database type is SAP HANA. The version is 1.x. The database you can either directly give the database server name, or you could use a DSN data source which is previously created. I'm directly going to give the server name, so it is okay, and the password and the username needs to be provided, and I'm going to click apply to check. So everything worked okay. All right, let's go ahead and create this data store. So now we have two data stores connected, one connecting to the source system and one connecting to the target system. What we're going to do now is we're going to import the table called CE1 from the source system to the target system. So we have to import the metadata into the data source. So let's do that. We'll go to the live underscore SAP. There are different options. We are going to import a table. So let's right click on the table. Currently, if you see, the table folder will be empty. So you want to right click on it and you want to say import by name. We are going to bring CE1. So you need to give the exact table name and then say import. Okay, so the table has been imported. So if you open the tables now, you will see option. Now you can double click on this to understand the column names of the table and the different data types and the length of the data types. You can also view the data by clicking on view here. Okay, so this is the data we have in the source system, and we want to push this to the target system. Very well, let's close out from all this, and let's come back to the quick launch. Now what we're going to do is we are going to create a project. So for that, you can come all the way to the project area, and right on top you have something called new. So we can say live or something else. We can say exercise, and this is an empty project shell. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to say we are going to create a new batch job. So you can click on the batch job, you can say EX, you can give it a name, and then inside a batch job you need to create a different artifacts. So the first thing is we're going to create a data flow. So you can just click on it and then click on the canvas. You don't need to drag it per se. You can give it a name, and we don't have other data flows to be connected to this data flow. So we are going to go inside the data flow to create a transformation. So for that, let's drag out this table from the source system which you just imported, called CE1 IDEA, on the canvas. Then we will use this query transform. So this is a tool palette here, and we're going to use the query transform. And now we need a similar structure of the table to create in the target. So either you can import the table structure from your target system into your data store here, or you can use a template table. So let's go ahead and create a template table. So you can use a template table from the template tool, and you can give it a name. So this is the table name which has to be created at the target. I'm going to give the same name. Let's use our own data source, which is live_HANA, and the owner name is nothing but your schema name. So we're gonna give training. Now let's quickly hop onto the SAP HANA database and take a look at what kind of tables we have in the training schema here. So this is the training schema, and these are the tables. Let me real quick refresh it just to understand what tables we have currently. Alright, so these are the tables which we have, and we're going to bring CE1 into this schema. Okay, so I'm going to say okay, and now what we have to do is we have to connect these different pieces. So you connect the source to the query and then query to the target. You double click on the query transform and this will open up. So you have three distinct areas. One is the source area. This is going to be the target area. This is where you want to program your target. Here you can add additional functions and filters. Okay, so if you open the source metadata, these are the different columns, and you can choose what columns you need. So let's say we need all these columns, and let's say we need these two columns. These two are the keys, foreign keys. We'll talk more about what these columns are and things like that when we're actually doing the modeling. And let's pick up some measures. So all right, so this is how your target table is going to look like, and you can program your column names, and you can program your data types. So for example, like you can change it to, for example, I'm just changing to 1, and you can change the length. For example, you can make it 5, and different things like that. You can change if it is a primary key, you can make a primary key. Okay, so I'm going to say all right, and then what we'll do is we'll get out of here. So click X out of here and X out of here. Okay, now let's go ahead and execute the job. So job has to be executed from the job level. So EX, this is the job level. So right click on the job, right about here, and execute. It's a good practice to save and validate. You can do that from about here. Okay, so these are the standard settings, let it be, and we're going to say okay. Now the current job is running, and you see that it breaks down the different activities of the job, and if you just go next, it talks about the different row counts and the state of the job. So currently it's in process, and the row count is 73,663. So the current state of the job is stopped, and I don't see the red mark here. This is the error tab. So if we had any errors, you would see the errors in this tab. Now let's go back to the job itself, and if you see that it says job has been completed successfully. So let's go to HANA and check if this job has been completed successfully. So naturally you won't see the table, you have to refresh. So let's say refresh. Now you see that we have the IDEA table. The first thing you want to do is you want to check the data definition. So you're going to go right click and say open definition. So you see that the name has been changed, the data dimension has been, the length has been increased to 5, and only the columns which we need are available here. If you see, this is sitting in the schema called training, and this is a column store. So you need to keep that in mind, that any table which comes inside is by default column store.